Okay, so I wanted to just share just a couple of words about this tragedy with Rabbi Kogan, the passing of Rabbi Kogan, Tzvi. You know, all of us have felt this heaviness about what was going on. It was also a person who was targeted simply because he's Jewish and simply because he's spreading goodness and kindness. And we've all gone through a lot of emotions about it and a lot of thoughts about it. I'm sure, it's a heavy time that we live in right now. It's a very heavy time for Jews all over the world. And as Chani said, the way we fight this evil and negativity is with kindness and lights. That it's soon going to be Hanukkah, and we know we light the light of the candles, banishes all the darkness. And that's what we do as Jews. We fight with goodness and with spiritual tools, with spiritual ammunition. But what was hitting me also about this whole situation, though, is that, you know, sometimes you read these books, you read the stories from the Torah, and it just seems like it's a completely different area, like a different era, different time period, where Jews are in such prominent positions, yet they're being assaulted and targeted. You know, like for example, Moshe in Egypt. He was in the palace of the king, in the palace of Paro. And you think, like, it's so strange, like, where's a Jew coming that he's right there in the center of everything that's happening? Or you read the story about Purim, and there's Esther right there, the Jewess who saves the day, but where is she? She's right there. She's the one that's chosen as the king's new queen, you know, in this beauty pageant. Like, from all the odds, why is it that it's a Jewish girl who's chosen? And we're talking about the world scene here, because those were the world powers then. Paro was the world power. He was the superpower. Persia was the superpower at the time when these people were chosen. I mean, even when you look at the story of Avraham, the little Avraham, so this little kid is serving this one God. He's destroying his father's idols. A little kid is destroying and playing with his father's idols and destroying it. He has to be brought to the king of the time and then thrown into a dungeon. Again, so much emphasis on just this little kid, and he's again taken to the world superpower of the time. And it just feels so foreign, because you think of it like these are just stories. These are amazing stories from the Torah, but it doesn't feel almost real. Like, it's not, how could it be happening? And then you have today's times where you see this is happening on the world scene to Jews. You know, this latest targeting that we've seen is just, it's so unbelievable, because he was targeted simply because he's a Jew. And yet, which Jew are we talking about? He's a Chabad Shliach who's spreading Torah and who's trying to spread kindness and goodness. And that is who they targeted. And you think, like, well, first of all, why are they targeting, you know, a Jew? Why are they targeting a Jew? Second of all, why are, like, okay, they want to target a Jew, maybe some kind of political figure, there's a lot of Israeli political figures in Dubai as well. But it was specifically this shliach that was targeted, who has no connection with any, you know, in Chabad we're very careful, we don't do politics. We stay totally out of politics. I work for Chabad.org, and every time I say, let's do something with this, I'm told, no politics, you know, very, very politically correct, like we just stay out of it. And that's Chabad everywhere. We try to stay out of politics because we're not into politics, we're into spreading Judaism. And sometimes people who hear about politics will be alienated from Judaism. And so what it hit me so strongly was, from all the people that they could have taken, that they did this to, which is obviously a hatred towards Jew, it's somebody who's just there spreading Judaism, just there to spread Judaism. You know, not so long ago, whether you like the new president who's coming in, President Trump, or not, but we saw the president coming to the aisle of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Again, this world figure, the president of the greatest country in the world, and where is he going? He's going to the aisle, the resting place of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. you think about, and again, like here, what has happened here? It was a shliach that was targeted, a Chabad shliach. So here we have Jewish people being targeted, even though we know Jews are such a tiny percentage of all the world. Not only is it Jews that are being targeted, but it's so interesting, but it's a member of Chabad who amongst the Jews are such a small group and such a small amount of people, and not a political person, but somebody who's just trying to bring holiness and goodness to the world. And it's hard not to see, I mean, we don't see the whole picture, but it's hard not to see some kind of pattern, that there's something cosmic in play here. There's cosmic forces that are obviously trying to stop the forces of good, the forces of kindness, and the forces that are bringing Mashiach, bringing redemption to the world. And they're trying so hard to stop that. I mean, we unfortunately, as we know, this person who was, this Tzvi was a nephew of Holzberg from Mumbai, who was also murdered, by terrorists, also just because he was doing good things as a Jew. So, you look back at some of the stories that we look at in our history, and we're seeing that happen today. And what we're seeing is we are the center stage. We are very importantly at the center stage of the world. The Jewish people are definitely at this fight, at this onslaught, because this is a fight till the end. And this is a fight that is really to bring the forces of goodness and a redemptive force to this world, redemption to this world. And that's why you see the people that are being targeted, who are the holiest people. I mean, every soldier that died in the land of Israel we believe, goes straight, to the highest place. This is the highest, most holiest soul. And of course the hostages, we're not even talking about that. But what we're seeing here is a target of the forces of evil against the forces of goodness. And we know that the end is very close and the end is very near. And that's why you see this uprising of it. But it's so fascinating to see that it with such clarity, because who are they targeting? Somebody who is just trying to bring Judaism and kindness and goodness and good things and mitzvot to the world. And, I think we should feel, we're feeling horrific. This is a horrific tragedy, but we have to realize that we are the players here. It's like a play that's being played. And there's the main parts, and the main parts are the Jewish people. And the supporting roles are us. We're part of, the Jewish people are just one soul. And we are that supporting role, and we have to just do our part in creating more goodness and kindness and mitzvot. This is our ammunition. But it's very clear to see that this is a battle, a cosmic battle between the forces of evil and the forces of good. And we're seeing this the way that it is being targeted, and we know the outcome, that the forces of good are winning, because this has all been prophesied, and this is the Yemos HaMashiach. This is the end of the time period of Yemos HaMashiach, coming to the time period of Mashiach, and this is just the last little bit of darkness that it says it's a difficult time. This is the difficult time that we're going through, but we can see the players very clearly on the world stage, because we are the world players. The world is revolving around the Jewish people. Any comments, thoughts?
You know what? He was not only kind, not only to spread Judaism, but he took care of Jews over there. I mean, he helped out.
Exactly.
He was so kind. And not to talk about, in his past, he was a soldier.
Yes.
He was a fighter.
Yes.
So he fought for Israel.
100%.
And then he went to UAE.
Right, you see what type of a person he was.
Yes, he didn't go to, somewhere that it was easy.
Yes, 100%.
And he was somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't. They helped in getting cars. They helped us out. They were right on us.
I don't think you met him. I don't think so. I didn't hear, but I know Harrison had friends, Israeli friends from Dubai who accompanied the body back to Israel.
Oh, really?
Well, my son lived in Dubai for 2 years. So,
Oh, wow. Well, so he's not there
I
anymore.
wonder if my girlfriend met him.
Thank God.
She was in.
We were supposed to be there now at this time of thank God we cancelled back in
Yes.
June.
Wow.
I wanted to be there in Dubai and do, like a cruise. But at the time they said, all the relationship between Israel and Dubai.
That wasn't the problem. It wasn't Dubai that had any. They went after. They helped. It was they were infiltrated by.
I understand, but you don't want to be, in an area again where you never know how they're gonna try. You don't know who is there, who is hiding there, and that's one of the biggest problems. So thank God
Thank God you
cancelled.
didn't go.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not gonna see.
There are many Israelis there, and they're
Yeah,
not
for sure.
afraid.
Absolutely.
They're sugar.
Serious.
It's a different mindset.
They're not afraid,
They're not.
I don't know. I don't understand.
They don't, yeah.
Look how they live.
Right.
They live
So,
in-
so there's one more thing that I wanted to say from this week's Torah portion about this. It's not only about this, it's in general, but I think there's a message for us in this week's Torah portion specifically. And that, we're going to go through the story, but at the very end of the story, we have in this week's Torah portion the struggle. Well, first of all, Rivka and Yitzchak are trying to have a child. They try for many, many years. They don't have a child. Finally, they have these two twins, Yaakov and Esau. And we know that they're very different, and we're going to go into how they are different and why they're different characteristics. And Yitzchak, it says, loves Esau, and we're going to explain that, why it is that he loves Esau. And Rivka, it says, loves Yaakov, and she wants to give him the blessing. And Yitzchak is thinking to give the blessing instead to Esau. So we know the whole story, how she tells her son Yaakov to dress up in the clothes of Esau, dress up, and trick Yitzchak, her husband, who is blind, who cannot see, trick him so that he can give the blessing to Yaakov instead of to Esau. And Yaakov says to her, but what happens if I go in there and instead of blessing me, my father realizes who I am, and instead he curses me? Like, what's the whole point? If he realizes we're taking a big chance here, and what if he actually realizes who I am, and instead of blessing me, he curses me instead? And Rivka answers him something very strange. She says to him, Alai kilalescha bini. If that happens, the curse will be on me. Don't worry, it's going to be on me, not you. And then Yaakov is like, okay, and he does it. And the question is, why would that make him feel better? So Rivka, his mother, is going to get cursed? Like, why is that going to be a solution to the problem? That Rivka's going to get cursed and he's not going to get cursed, and this is going to incentivize him to go in and do the trick so that he can get the blessings, because Rivka will be cursed instead of him, or she'll take the curse, whatever is given, right? It doesn't make any sense. We know Yaakov is such a righteous person. Why is this going to motivate him?
He trusted her.
He trusted her. And what was she? He understood what she was saying. What was she saying by saying this? She was saying there are some things in life that are so worth the effort that even when we have to go through a tremendous sacrifice ourselves, we are on the forefront of making history here. And even if we're going to have to take upon ourselves this curse, even if we're going to have to sacrifice personally because of it, it's worth it. We need to do it. We need to make the effort. We need to go forward. We cannot be stopped or persuaded by risks that are involved, even when it comes to self-sacrifice. She was willing to spiritually be cursed, which is, we're talking about a tzaddikus, a righteous woman like Rivka, and she's saying this is something that we need to go forward. There are certain things in life that are so valuable that we proceed, we go ahead, we take the risks, and we even take the self-sacrifice, because this is who we are. And what are those things when it comes to the Jewish people? The perpetuation of the Jewish people, which is what Yaakov was getting the blessing for. to be the Jewish people, to continue on and be this holy nation. For that, we're willing to really take whatever sacrifices we need. And I was reading this and I was thinking, what a message for this week for ourselves. What a message for what we're going through in these hard times. We are persecuted because we are the Jewish people. We are persecuted because we are the nation of Israel, because it is our homeland, because we are there. We are persecuted for no reason other than the fact that we are Jews. And this is going on all over the world. Whether it's the ICC, who's telling, who's making these criminal things. If you've seen in my own home country, in Canada, in Montreal. Horrific. Or whether we see in Amsterdam, just what was it, last week or a week before that. We are persecuted wherever we are because, for one reason and one reason alone, because we are the Jewish people. And as we said, this is a cosmic battle that's going on. This is a cosmic battle that has been going on from time immemorial.
From this time. From this portion.
From this parsha, yes. From this parsha, exactly. It went from this parsha, from the time that we have this concept of an Esau, yes. And we are at the end, we have to take a step out and look at it from a step above. Because we're getting to a place. It's not that, it just keeps on happening and it's just going to keep on happening for all times. This is the battle that we're talking about. This is the battle that in this week's Torah portion, we see that Yaakov was given these blessings because we are the Jewish people, and Esau was having this hatred towards him because of it. And this is the forces that are coming up, the cosmic forces that are coming up. Why are they hating us? Because of the land of Israel? No, it is because of the land of Israel, because they sense that in the land of Israel is the Jewish people and is the holiness. And from this holiness comes the holiness to the world. And in the land of Israel is the Beit HaMikdash, which will bring a completely different reality to this world, a reality of morality and truth. And the forces of evil are just opening themselves up and doing whatever they can to destroy us. Mm-hmm. And there are times when we feel like, is it worth it? Like, it's so hard, it's so difficult, maybe we'll be cursed, like he says. And Rivka teaches us this immortal lesson. Alai kilascha b'ni. There are certain things in life, like the perpetuation of the Jewish people, like the continuation of the Jewish people, like the survival of the Jewish people, like the teaching of morality that the Jewish people needs and is entrusted to give to the world, that are worth even personal self-sacrifice. Because unfortunately we've had a lot of personal self-sacrifice along the way. But we're getting to the end of that, and she says this is what we need. The world needs it. The world needs it. The world needs us. And we need to hold strong in that way. So I felt that this was an extremely, we live with the times, it says, meaning we live with the Torah portion of the week. And the Torah portion of the week really gives us a message. And I felt this week's Torah portion, this is the message for us, that we need to continue on. We need to go forward with tremendous strength, with redoubling our dedication. And this is what we see constantly happening, that every time they try to destroy us and snuff us out, we get stronger in our convictions, stronger in our, all the campus antisemitism that was going on and on and on. The amount of Jews that are going to the Chabad houses to light their Shabbat candles and to be part of the Jewish students' programs has doubled, tripled since it has started. And this you see all over the world. They try to snuff us out. They try to kill this person they did kill this person who was trying to perpetuate the kashrut. So we redouble our efforts in kashrut. We put on mezuzot. We do the brit milah, as Chani mentioned, and all the different examples that have happened. This is how we fight the evil around us, because we realize that there are certain things that are worth the entire fight all the way till the end. And that is what Rivka teaches us in this week's parsha. So let's go back a little bit to understand what is this friction between Esau and Yaakov? What is this tremendous cosmic fighting that's going on here between the good and the evil? And so to begin with, we see that when Rivka is pregnant, She's pregnant and she's feeling a tremendous amount of pain in her stomach. It says, Vayisroitzetzu habanim bikirba. The children inside her womb are fighting. She knows that there's this fighting, this struggle inside of her. And she's confused. But the Midrash says when she passed a house of idolatry and immorality, one of them was fighting to get out, was trying to push to get out. Esau was trying to push to go out. When she passed a place of Torah study from the yeshiva of Shem and Aver, again, there was this pushing to get out, and this was Yaakov pushing to get out to experience that Torah and that holiness. And she was confused. What is going on inside of me? There's this conflict. What's going on? And it says she went to ask the prophet, to ask what is going on, what is happening, and she was told, Shnei Gayim b'bitznech, you have two nations in your stomach, and they're going to be fighting each other. Now, something that we learn from this Vayisroitzetzu, this struggle, because she felt what was going on inside of her, this struggling, and that's why she went to ask the advice to see what is it going on. And when she was told there's two different nations inside of you, two forces inside of you, one force of good and one force for evil, she was calm. She calmed down. She now understood what was happening within her. And there's a lesson here for us as well. There are times that we are feeling this struggle within ourselves. This struggle, there's a part of us that wants to do good, and then there's a part of us that is lazy or does not want to do good, or that has temptations, or that's not into the goodness. I think even in the times that we're going through, in these times, these difficult times that we're going through, there are times, I don't know if you feel that way, but there are times that I just feel so, almost like, so weak. And I've heard this so much, like I feel like my emotions are almost turning off even. Because like how much could you feel? How much could you become desensitized because you're hearing every day such difficult, horrific news that a part of you becomes almost indifferent. I can't. And I think that the message to us is there's two parts to us. It's okay to have those different parts in us. There's this part that is always transcendent, that is always connected, that is always in tune with others, that's always empathetic. That's the holy part of us. And then there's this part of us that's not, and it's more the animalistic self, the more self-preservation that just can't feel all the time. And I don't think you can be hard on yourself by rethinking, well, if I'm not feeling, it's not good. If I am, this constant battle with our emotions because we're going through such hard times. So we have to know, and this is what it says, that Rivka was calm after she heard this, because she realized there's two parts. There's this animalistic self, there's this divine self, and within each and every one of us, we have these two parts as well that are constantly battling each other. And there are moments when you're going to feel so in tune with godliness and holiness and spirituality and transcendence. And then there are moments that you're going to feel the exact opposite, and you're going to feel so low and so disconnected, and how could this be happening, and so lack of faith. And that's normal. It's not that you're a schizophrenic personality. It's very normal, because as we learned in the Tanya, there's two parts within each of us. There's the animalistic self and there's the divine self, and these two parts are constantly battling one another. And the fact that at moments you feel the animalistic self is rising and overpowering you doesn't mean that the moments that you felt the divine self are not true. Sometimes we blame ourselves and we think, I was able to pray with such a deep concentration, or I was able to do such a beautiful mitzvah, and I feel so good about doing it. And then the next moment I'm feeling so low and so not connected and so far away from it all. So you think, this must mean that those moments of connection weren't real, because I'm a hypocrite otherwise. Like it means that those moments that I felt something weren't real. This isn't the genuine me. And we have to realize that was the genuine you. And it's okay that you're feeling now the animalistic part of yourself. This is all part of who we are. It's like someone went to the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and she said, you know, it's sad that these Jews, sometimes they go on the high holidays, they go to the synagogue and they pray. But that's not really who they are, because all year round they're not. And he answered her, no, the real person is the one that's going on the high holidays. The other person is just the act. It's just they're pretending who they are. But the real genuine person is the one that's going. So I think we have to allow ourselves to have that, not to blame ourselves when we're feeling that fluctuation between those two sides of us, and to realize this is part of the human battle of who we are. This is part of being a human being, and God enjoys the effort that we make in the battle. And even when we don't succeed in the battle, that's okay. It's the effort that we try to become connected that is so worthwhile. And those moments of connection, those moments of goodness, those moments of charity, those moments of prayer, those moments of Torah study, those are the real you. And those moments when you feel God's presence in your life, that bitachon, that connection, that faith in God. And it's normal that you might feel 5 minutes later the exact opposite. One does not invalidate the other. And that's, I think, a very important thing that we learn from Rivka and from this struggle that she had inside of her. So let's go on to talk about these two children are born. We have Yitzchak and we have Yaakov and we have Esau. And it says Yaakov is
Can I interrupt?
Sure.
Because what you just said
Yes.
bothers me. Okay?
Tell me.
It bothers me. It's funny that you just brought that up, because when I go to the synagogue, and especially at Yom Kippur, they say you should not do that and you should not do this and you should. And then I said to myself, and it happened quite every year, but you're saying those words, but once you get out of the synagogue and to the shul, you're another person. Okay, you're repeating to yourself, I'm not going to do, just the prayer, okay? But then the rest of the year, which is 11 months and so forth, you're not that way, you're another way. So I don't quite understand what you're saying just now, okay?
So
I just...
Right, so the fact that when you were in synagogue, you were in shul, and you're saying those words, and you feel connected to God, and you're saying, God, I'm really going to try to be a better person.
Right.
Those are genuine thoughts. Don't think just because you also are tempted, that doesn't mean that you can say to yourself all year round, I'm not going to try. I'm not saying that. That doesn't mean that all year round you shouldn't try to lift yourself higher and to become better, because that's the job, that's the conflict that we all have. But there are times that we are so beating down on ourselves and saying, I'm a horrible person because I'm not doing good and I'm not connected and I'm doing all these temptations and I'm succumbing to my bad side. And you know what that accomplishes when you say that to yourself? You just fall deeper and deeper and deeper. When you think that way about yourself, you just fall into a deeper
But
pit.
people don't think like that. That's what I'm trying to say. When you say, I'm being bad, they don't even think that they're doing bad things. That's what I'm trying to say. And I see it, I see it. And a lot of the time I said, it's very hypocritical, I'm sorry,
Yeah, some people are hypocritical.
Yeah, I mean, because they repeat,
That's nice.
Here's the thing, you can't,
Read all those things.
you can't, not even judge, but you can't, what's the word that I'm looking for? Because somebody is doing this and someone's doing that, and whatever they do, don't put it on yourself. Wait, let me finish. Don't put it on yourself, but to help yourself, which might, believe it or not, bring it up and maybe help somebody else, take one act. The rabbi says this a lot. Take one act. Don't say I'm going to be a better person. Specifically, I'm going to light candles on Friday night. Maybe you do nothing else. Just light the candles. Start with one act. You'll see the difference. It'll come because it is just a defective.
But I'm not talking about myself, because that,
You're not in charge.
No, I tell you what, because I'm very true to myself, okay? When I am not
but you're not in
doing
charge of anyone else.
Yes, I agree. But But I
That's
am a
what-
witness to that. So when you say that as a blanket thing, you say, "Oh, I'm gonna be doing, I'm gonna get out of here, and I'm gonna do this, and that." They don't think about that thing. That's what I'm trying to say.
I understand, but that's not on you. It's on them in between.
Right,
God.
right.
Forget them. What are you gonna do? Take one thing. What are you
Okay,
gonna
for
do?
yourself. Okay, all right.
Okay?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I guarantee you, it will influence the others. It really will. It really, really will.
When they see how good you are.
But some people see
Okay, I
it a
just wanted
different
to
way.
bring that up.
Believe me,
You know, and I
know.
see what you're saying, because
No,
some
we
people,
can't take on,
some
I just
people
wanna
see
say
it a
something.
different way. Go ahead, go ahead. No,
You
because
can't say I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this. It's such a slow process when
It
it comes
is.
and just beginning to do something. Because I know I've been on both sides and I'm still working very hard. I'm going to share something that's going on right now too. But when you take on something, when you take on a mitzvah, you feel different inside, and your connection with our Creator is different.
I do
It's
agree with that. Yeah, I agree.
yeah. So
No.
then, the more you do, and even if you're not doing a mitzvah, and you just talk to God from your heart, and you ask Him and you thank Him. You wake up in the morning. Thank you for giving me another day. Thank you that you trusted me enough that I would be good with another day. And just keep that with you.
Absolutely.
And you do one thing.
but she's not talking about
Right,
herself.
she's
I
not-
understand.
that's what I
She's
keep hearing.
talking
We're
about
talking
other
about-
people,
And
that they
the general
act this
thing.
act, and then all of a sudden they don't do what they're,
Right.
and then they come across like hypocrites, and they make everybody else look bad.
They are.
No,
Okay,
I don't
so that's what I'm
I don't
trying to
agree
say.
with that either, 'cause
It's
it's
not
not-
about me. It's not about me. I do a lot of
I
mitzvot and I do
understand.
things.
But
I
you know,
love,
it's not. It's not.
But I'm talking about other people when they
I
say.
So
understand you.
don't worry
Okay,
about
and I
other
know those
people.
people. I know how they are once they get out of the synagogue. I know how they are.
We all know those people. Okay? It's between them and God, and don't make it. Whatever. It's between them and God.
But
That's
they,
right,
but
that's
they
right,
do
that's
cause
right.
a negative impact.
Yes, I agree that there
And I'll
are.
tell
Yes,
you why
I know
I
what
say
you're
that.
saying.
Okay.
Because my husband went to shul as a kid, and he would watch like very wealthy people do the wrong thing outside of shul, and then come to shul and
Exactly,
I'm so
exactly.
I'm so sorry, and
Exactly.
then give money
That's right.
and show off, and then go out and do the wrong
Exactly. That's
thing. And
ex-
as a young kid, it drew him in a negative, like,
Mhm.
why should I be Jewish? If this is what Jews are like, I don't want any part of it.
Wow.
And it was very hard to get him back to it
Mm.
because there was a long time that he was very anti.
Mhm.
So I understand what you're saying.
Okay,
There's
you got me.
another- I
Okay,
got
you
it.
got me. Okay,
Right.
all right. That's what it
So
is.
yes, so we're not excusing hypocritical behavior. We're not saying be a hypocrite, but what we are saying is just take on a little bit at a time and make that genuine. And don't feel that just because I'm taking on just the one little thing, I'm such a bad person. You should realize that one connection that you're doing can grow and increase as you were all saying, and become so much more. But we're not excusing hypocritical behavior.
Right.
Judaism just is the opposite. Amor ma'at va'aseh harbe. Say little and do a lot.
Mhm.
Say little. Don't say I'm such a great person. Say little and do a lot. And that's how we establish our connection.
But it's not all or nothing.
Right.
Whatever
Exactly.
we do, whatever little thing, especially during these dark times, whatever we do, whatever little mitzvah, whatever good deed is appreciated on high. It doesn't matter.
100%.
We can't do everything if we're not born into it.
Mhm.
Whoever it is, we've all, most of us have been on. Some of us have been on both sides,
Mhm.
and we know it. We know it's
both
true.
sides.
I don't know who's what really exactly. I know.
I just play Orthodox on TV.
That's very funny.
But everything we do, it's not all or nothing. If we do anything, it's appreciated. And then that may motivate us to take enough. So I don't like to look at it as hypocritical, because it's not fair to the thing that they're doing that's good, because they're still doing it. They've gotten that mitzvah, they've done something. May not be everything, but listen, I mean, when you don't know, you don't know.
Barbara always sees the good in everything.
She always.
Because she's good.
Okay.
Because I've been there.
Right.
I'm not talking what I don't know. If I don't know, I don't talk. But what I do know, I have to say, because I
Right.
know what it is. I've been on both sides.
100%.
I'm like, if I could add one more thing, we're talking about taking on something now, that we're doing something now that we didn't do before. So I don't even know if I should be sharing this.
Go ahead.
Okay.
No,
Yeah, you can't say that. Oh,
Okay,
you
this
say
is
that.
way too juicy. Go.
It's not so juicy, but every Thanksgiving, we always would go to this restaurant in Manhattan, it's called Pungal, it's an Indian restaurant, and it does have a certification. So we didn't go for 5 years with COVID, things were a little upside down, so we're planning, okay, we're gonna go to Pungal, and everybody's excited we're going to Pungal. Something inside of me said, I better get some rabbinical advice about it, because I didn't know, I looked on the internet, and the hechsher was not great. It sounds like cup K, which is good, but it wasn't, it's cup K. And I
It's
said,
what?
Cup, like a
Okay, yes,
I've
heard
of
that,
yeah.
And we went there for many years and just loved it. And I called up and I was told today, I have bad news for you. I said, oh no. You can't eat there.
We cannot what?
You cannot
You
eat
said- you said
And
that.
this
It's
rabbi
not
spoke
kosher.
to 2 other rabbis, and all 3 of them said, I can't eat there. And this rabbi was kind enough to ask them, well, is there anything she could eat there? They said, no, we don't know. So now I had to tell my husband, who's not thrilled with what I'm doing anyway.
Yeah, this could went over
And my
well.
daughter who's vegetarian, and this is good for her, and my son-in-law is willing to go out of his way, he doesn't even like Indian food.
Me neither. I would be like this.
But he's willing to go, and now I had to say, we're not going, and it's a push and pull. I made my decision already. After 3 rabbis say I can't eat there, am I gonna eat there? I can't.
Isn't there a kosher Indian restaurant in the city you can go? There must be.
I don't know, this one was wonderful, we've been going there.
Right, I know, but it must be.
So I don't know,
Yeah.
but I'm saying that somehow at this time it bothered me, maybe with everything that's going on in the world. So my husband said to me, at a time when, whatever, said to me, so how come? We ate there all these years now, all of a sudden, you're not gonna eat there? Why? What happened? So I said, I'm more observant now. That's the only thing that I could think of. And then we were talking about what now, these times, I was very observant then too, I guess, but it was 5 years ago and I'm still growing. The more time passes, you can say hypocrite, not hypocrite. I was not where I am now then. I mean, 5 years ago I was pretty good, but 5 years before that, well,
There's nothing
never.
hypocrite about you.
Right.
That's
But you know what, I think what she's.
the past.
But I'm saying,
Right,
you
right,
can't
right.
do everything. Whatever you do is good. I never expected to be here and doing what I'm doing in this
But you're
way.
always good.
You're
You're
good. You
good
are, yes. But I think what she
inside.
was talking about is
It's-
people who are embezzlement, let's say. And
Right.
of course, it's splashed on
And they do
news.
it, and
Right,
they,
and it's-
and they,
it's
and
so
they
arrogant.
ruin the Jewish name.
And that's what she was
Yeah.
talking about. I don't think it's talking
I'm
about.
saying the person who's clapping on Yom Kippur
Right.
goes out and does whatever I don't know what you're talking about.
Well,
Like
it
embezzlement,
was people
like
that,
that.
people that were not, righteous, and who
Not
were
just
not
righteous, I mean, it's
honest,
unknown about.
who were doing deals that were not the
Right.
good deals.
Right, exactly.
That's
Right.
what
But they
they
truly
And
believe
people-
inside that they're.
It was a show for them.
No, I didn't look at it that way.
Yeah.
I just thought they just,
But-
eat it, whatever.
So what are you gonna do for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, now what?
I don't
She
know.
wants to
I
talk
don't
to the.
I know.
Poor girl there.
Yeah, she wants to clear the floor.
Well,
Let
that's
her
what
talk. Let her, she wants to talk.
What?
Rabbi Aaron shared a story with me. I'll be very quick. He shared a story that somebody else said. He said that he saw a chassid. Man said, I saw a chassid eating at a non-kosher pizza place. So Rabbi says, well, what were you doing at a non-kosher
That's good.
It's very good. Yeah.
Yeah, that is it.
Okay, just one last comment on this and then we'll go on. I hear what you're saying about, sometimes people show this act of such righteousness and they make Judaism look bad because they are hypocritical and very often you could be turned off from Judaism from these acts of hypocritical acts. Or sometimes you have people who are, so religious and in a position like a teacher or something who do terrible things to the children, and that could cause a child to reject the entire religion. And I think what we really need to remember is, it's bad enough that this person is acting in the way that they're acting, that they're so hypocritical and they're showing this Judaism that isn't a real Judaism. But why are you giving this person power over your relationship with God? Like, this is the most precious thing that you have. Why are you allowing somebody who's obviously, such a hypocrite and such a low level because he's doing such horrific things. Some of them are monsters, really monsters. Yeah. We're not justifying their behavior. These are monsters. But why are you allowing a monster like that to rob you of what's so important to you, of what's so precious that you have, which is your relationship with God?
It's ugly to look at.
It's ugly to look at, but they're not. But they don't represent God. They're talking in the name of another God.
Right.
They're not talking in the name of God, and they're trying to take away the real God from you. So how can we allow that to happen?
Okay.
They don't give them that kind of power over yourself and over your, over your future, because you're allowing them to rob what you have that's the most precious to you. But getting back to the parsha, last thing, let's talk about a little about this Esau and Jacob personality and what we have going on here. So it says Esau was an ish Sadah, he was a man of the field. He liked to spend his time in the field hunting. He was Yodea Tzayid. He was someone who knew how to hunt. And the commentaries explain, what does it mean, Yodea Tzayid? Exactly what you're talking about. He was full of deceit. He was someone who would act one way on the outside and be something different on the inside. It says he would go up to his father Yitzchak and he would say, how do we tithe the salt? Salt is something that you don't need to tithe. And he would be so like, how do we do? He would act as if he's so punctilious, so careful in doing mitzvot, when he would be going out into the field and rob and rape and kill and do all kinds of horrific things. But when he approached Yitzchak, he acted like such a tzaddik who was such a righteous person. This is what it means, Yodea Tzayid. He knew how to hunt. It says Yaakov, on the other hand, was Ish Ohalim. He was a man of the tent. He would sit in the tent and study. And he was a tam. He was a person who was, a tam is somebody who's on the outside the same as in the inside. He was very simple in that way, that the way I am on the inside is the way I'm on the outside. And the way I'm on the outside is what I'm in the inside. There's no deceit. There's no kind of expertise in how to deceive people and how to put on this persona that's not me. So given these characteristics of the two, it's pretty strange that why did Yitzchak want to bless Esau? Why did he want to give him the blessing? Why didn't he want to give Yaakov the blessing? Like Rivka wanted. Rivka saw Yaakov, she was able to. So some say, okay, he was blind. He was blind because he had the Akedat Yitzchak. It says when he was bound on the Akedah from his father, it says the angels would cry and there was a tear that went into his eyes and that blinded him. So now he was blinded. But that doesn't really satisfy us, because how could he be so unperceptive? Even though if he's blind, how could he not see to what Esau really was? And it's true, Yitzchak grew up in a very home of total morality, so maybe he wasn't used to the deceit like Rivka was. She grew up in a home that was full of swindling and immorality, so she could see straight through to what it is. But it still is difficult to say that did Yitzchak completely, was he so oblivious to what was going on that he completely didn't see what Esau was? And the commentaries explain that Yitzchak was looking at Esau. He saw him for what he was, but he saw also that he had a tremendous soul, a high soul, a very great potential. In fact, we see that who descends from Esau, tremendous righteous Gerim, converts. The converts that we see who join the Jewish people, like a convert like Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva, it says, was a convert. And there's many converts who converted to Judaism who are descendants from Esau, who were tremendously righteous persons that came from this Esau. So when it says Yodea Tzayid, that he knew how to hunt, it says that Yitzchak would hunt in Esau for those hidden sparks, meaning that his soul, he saw the soul of Esau had tremendous potential. That in this potential there could be tremendous, tremendous heights. And he was hoping to use that potential of Esau to change Esau into a force for good. And he looked at Esau and he said, you know, we have a mission here in this world. Our mission is, as the Jewish people, what's our mission? What are we meant to be doing?
To be a light among the nations.
To be a light unto all the nations, to teach all the nations, to teach all the nations. There's a lot of corruption in the world, and we're supposed to be the light unto the nations, teaching morality to the world, teaching godliness to the world. That's our job. How are you going to do that? And in Yitzchak's mind, how can you do that? You need to be somebody who's very suave, who has a lot of expertise, who knows how to do PR, who knows how to do marketing. Any of you do marketing ever? Do you say things exactly as they are? Okay, if you'd market this class, you'd say we had probably about 100 people here today, right? In fact, someone once said to the Rebbe, like, you know, he said the amount of people that he had at the class, and the Rebbe says, when people read that, they are expecting you to say at least double or 3 times. No one says what it is. That's how you market. You never say exactly what it is. So Yitzchak is looking at, we need somebody who's going to be the person who teaches Judaism to the world, who teaches this light of godliness to the world. He needs to be in tune with the world. He needs how to do it in the world. He needs to make beautiful graphics. He needs to know how to do social media. He needs to know the latest technology. He needs to be involved in the world. Esau is involved in the world. He's all day long outside, involved in the world. Yaakov, on the other hand, is sitting inside with his little book of Torah, studying all day. How is he going to influence the world? He's sitting there and studying all day. He's not going out into the world. He's so much an ish tam, what's on the inside, on the outside of this the same. How is he going to be marketing this teaching to teach the world? So that was Yitzchak's idea. He saw that Esau had this tremendous soul, this tremendous potential. He said, maybe I can get into that potential. Maybe I can expose that potential and use that raw might of his, that raw expertise of his, that deceit of his for a positive, for a good thing, in a good way. Maybe I can harness it and use it in a positive way.
It's okay.
So what happened with that? Rivka said, oh, no. Rivka saw beyond. And she says, Yitzchak is trying to do something noble, but he's misled. He's not going to be able to harness that power of Esau. That power of Esau is so enveloped in negativity that there's no way you can extradite it from the negativity. Esau is so steeped into this negativity, there's no way that he's going to be suddenly using it in a positive way. How does she know that? Because of her background, because she faced negativity, because she faced immorality in her home. She saw it in Esau, and she said, this is not who he is. However, she looked at Yaakov and she said, he's not just somebody who's sitting and learning Torah all day and not involved in the world. He's preparing himself. He's preparing himself to go out and teach the world. Just like a child, you teach the child first, and then the child grows up and could influence others. But first you need to teach that child. She saw Yaakov as not somebody who's ignoring the world, but is preparing himself for his job and for his future mission of convincing the world. And that's why, what does Rivka do? She tries to show Yitzchak what she saw. She says, I can't just tell him, I can't just say to him, let's go out for coffee and, we'll discuss our 2 children over coffee and I'm going to convince you who should get the blessing. She says, let me show him through Yaakov himself, through Yaakov's own act, that Yaakov is able to wear the clothes of this world, to dress up in the clothing of Esau. He's able to use the work of Esau, the clothing of Esau, the outside expressions that Esau uses. He's able to use those while he's still Yaakov. And this said more to Yitzchak than any convincing could have said. So after Yitzchak realizes that he was deceived by Yaakov, what does he say? He says, Gam Baruch Yihiyah. He doesn't curse him like Yaakov originally feared, but he says, oh, that was really Yaakov who did that? He should be blessed. Once he got that moment of that aha. That's what Yaakov really is. Yaakov is really somebody who is an Ish Tam, a perfect person who's on the inside and the outside the same. But when the occasion calls for it, he knows how to take the clothing of Esau. He knows how to use the deceit of Esau. He knows how to meet Esau for where he's at. So his general mode is Hakol Kol Yaakov. It's the voice of Yaakov, the voice of prayers, the voice of Torah study. But when he needs to, he'll take up the gun and he'll be able to use Yadayim Yadei Esau. He'll be able to take the clothing of Esau, dress up like Esau, and do the battle that he needs to do like Esau will do. And when he realized that, he said, Gam Baruch Yihiyah. He should be blessed. He should be blessed because this is the one that really should get the blessing. And we don't see he ever cursed him, but to the contrary, he reaffirmed the blessing in giving him.
It says in the Torah that Esau sold his Bechorah
Yes.
Benazid Alashim.
Yes.
So he should be punished. I mean, he sold the blessing for something material.
Yes. And that's why it was really Yaakov's.
Yes.
Right? It was, even if you think that he was the oldest, he sold it.
Yes.
He gave it to him. 100%. 100%. So this teaches us as well, something for our current situation, which we're in right now. We need to remember that Esau and Yaakov are in this fight till the end of time. This is a fight that is till the end of time. The way that we fight it is Hakol Kol Yaakov. It's through our voices, through our tefillot, through our prayers, through our Torah study, through our acts of goodness and kindness and good deeds. That's what we do here. We also obviously support those in Israel who are taking up arms and fighting. Not only support, we look at them as doing the highest mitzvah possible in protecting and supporting the Jewish people all over. And we realize that when it's necessary, we know how to take in the clothing of Esau and use the clothing of Esau, use the firearms of Esau, and defeat them even in the area that they need to be defeated, that they use to harm us. But for us here, not with arms, not with the ammunition, our ammunition is Torah and mitzvot and the Kol Yaakov that we use to fight off the negativity of the world. And remember, we're in that world stage, and we're the main players here. We are those players. And the fact that we're learning about this, we are those players right there. And it's in our hands to be the ones to actually get to the finish line, which we are getting to very, very soon. Amen. Amen.